Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast.
Welcome to the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. I'm Tom Ricks, and this is the final episode of The Sins of Silicon Valley. And I basically wrapped up my argument in the last episode. This episode is almost really to me more of an epilogue. And basically this is so what are you going to do about it, Rich? Used to have a friend who turned out to be kind of a sociopath who said that a lot. But anyway, long story short, um you know, I've spent closer to, I didn't count the number of episodes, but it's probably bordering on 15 to 16 at this point, between part one and part two, ranting about each of the tech companies. And then I proposed a solution in the last episode, which, for those of you that didn't listen to it, is bottom line. Um, Developers are fantastic and really good at what they do, but between cocaine cowboys of Wall Street and spreadsheet thinks they understand how to fix climate change warriors, developers, these people should not be allowed to control this technology more than 10 years after they develop it. But, last I checked, I'm not Pharaoh. I'm not God King. I'm not even Elvis, right? Um, so what? Right? I've spent a whole lot of time ranting about this, and what am I as an individual going to do about it? Right? Well, I've given it a lot of thought, actually, and I think that I'm going to end it where it began. And at the end of the day, this series started when I started getting furious and frustrated at harassment from Facebook censors, which over time we've learned that there are, from news articles and studies and many other things, that I'm not alone in this, and that Facebook is very conservative and Facebook is very destructive. And so I am not going to live my life in a barn in the middle of Pennsylvania with, you know, people that live in the 19th century. And I'm going to have a smartphone, and I'm going to order things online, and I'm going to use a Windows computer. And so at the end of the day, while I will write my congressman and I will do other things, and I'll get to some of that in a bit, when I examine what in my life gives me benefit, even though there is harm done to me and others by these companies, one company stands out as providing virtually no benefit for lots of destruction, and that is Facebook. I have a history of deleting my Facebook account. I've done it 3 times in the past, mainly because of leaks. And it wasn't so much, I've never permanently intended to delete my account. I've always deleted it, waited 3 or 4 months, and come back, so that basically um, leaks of posts with me attacking political opponents would not get, you know, what exactly has happened again and again and again. And I'm very glad I did it. Most people who still have always had their Facebook account and never deleted it are basically providing a case file when the potential coup happens in 2025, to, let the secret police know exactly who they should put in camps, right? And Facebook, more than any other company, is going to provide that data. And I am super, super glad that even if I didn't delete my Facebook account, which I'm planning on, and I'll get to that in a second, um, I'm super glad that they have less data on me than most people. And it's not to say that, I sure there's a file with me in the FBI somewhere. Anybody that ever writes the White House probably gets a file. But there's a lot less in that file than there could be, and there will definitely be a lot less than Mark Zuckerberg could give them, because I've deleted my account a couple times. The most glaring example for me of deleting my Facebook account was the day after the election in 2016, where I thought we were done, right? I knew how bad Trump was going to be and how bad it got. And it's, to be honest, amazing to me that it took 4 years to get that far. Right. Basically, he literally had to lose the election before he tried to steal power. Let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that the next time a Republican, any Republican, gets in office, they will not wait 4 years. It's going to happen so fast, it'll make your head spin. And the political structure of this country is not designed to permanently lock the Republicans out of power. It's not. And that's why my next series is going to be on uh, generating a new constitution and how we can make one and what should go in it. Because, frankly, we're playing a rigged game. And the deadlock in Washington shows how much of a rigged game we have. Anyway, so Facebook and I have a history. And, my Facebook friends are used to me at this point, ever since I got the current version of the Facebook account, which I've had about, I think, 2 years. I have long stints of just deactivating it. But each time I've deactivated it, one of the things I've done is I've handed my author page and my company page to my wife because I still wanted to have a presence on Facebook. I mean, what business doesn't want to have um, media? And I've occasionally sent her a link and say, "Could you post this on my author page when I've had my account deactivated?" This time is different. This time I really am permanently, as in not even when Mark Zuckerberg inevitably steps down, and that guy is going to go down at some point. At some point, the sheer damage he has done is going to have a class action lawsuit. In fact, frankly, I'm amazed that Dominion hasn't gone after Facebook. But the Section 230 and the ridiculous interpretation of judicial review on the First Amendment. I'm not saying that the First Amendment as it's written is bad per se, but the way it's been interpreted is very, very, very bad and needs to be fixed. The interpretation of the First Amendment is so bad that it is, to me, the leading indicator of why we need to rewrite the Constitution rather than simply amend it. And there's plenty of other reasons, and I'll go into that in the future. But my point is that I am deleting my Facebook account, and I'm going to do it on October 26th. And for, those who have listened to a lot of my podcast, and that's not many people, but, some of you have, you will remember my other series, 8 questions that should be asked of the LDS Church, and other episodes I did, including my final testimony, and basically where I give an account of what it was that caused me to leave the LDS Church. And long story short, on April 26, 2007, and I remember that date as much as I do 1492 or 1776. And that was the day that um, Dick Cheney, unindicted war criminal, was honored at BYU by the entire first presidency of the LDS Church. And at that point, I took 6 months so that nobody in my friends and family would think I did this as a rushed, passionate decision. I prayed about it. I reviewed Mormon doctrine. I studied about it and found plenty of reasons after the fact, doctrinally, why I should have left a long time ago. But at the end of the day, the real reason I left the LDS Church was because to get Mitt Romney the presidency and have the first Mormon president, Karl Rove, made a deal with the leaders of the LDS Church to honor Dick Cheney, who was at the time incredibly unpopular. And basically make Mitt Romney the heir apparent. And, lo and behold, he was the presidential candidate of the elite. And only through a fluke did John McCain win the nomination that year. And then later, Mitt Romney was, lo and behold, the candidate against Obama again. So clearly, that deal between the LDS Church and Dick Cheney paid off. And so 6 months to the day, on October 26, 2007, I left the LDS Church. And I celebrate that day every single year. And it's coming up on the 14th Freedom Day. And so I am declaring my freedom from Facebook. I have friends on Facebook who I like. And there's things on Facebook that I do like, even though more and more with every passing year, Facebook is just increasingly just junk. I mean, so much crap that I don't want to see. It would sure be nice to be able to moderate my content and like see my friends instead of the just crap that Facebook. And it's not just the ads. I mean, so many fucking ads. It's the fact that I get to see what my friends post like 5 times, and usually it's like the same 4 friends, 2 of whom, I mean, I like them, they are friends, but they're not like my close friends. And so if I wanna actually see what my close friends are saying, I have to actually go directly to their page once or twice a week, and occasionally try and reply in hopes that the algorithm lets me see what they're trying to say, but God forbid if they're too liberal, because the algorithm will make you invisible. Because I know in my case, my friends very rarely see what I post, right? And I know for a fact I'm not muted because certain major events like my birthday or, other items will get, 40 or 50 comments or likes. And so there's just enough activity where I know that they can sometimes see what I post. So I'm not muted. It's just that the algorithm, the demonic heart of Mark Zuckerberg's Frankenstein abomination, basically doesn't let anybody see what I post, and probably because I have been deliberately targeted by the Facebook censors. Not quite as ridiculously obvious as the Twitter censors, but enough that I know that the people at Facebook do not like me. It is personal, and it's more than just the AI being stupid. But we know, we don't have to guess. It's not me being like so much of what I've talked about in this podcast has been validated, right? It's been validated literally since I did the Facebook episode on Facebook being the largest illegal psychological experiment in history. They literally did that, right? They literally pulled Instagram teens off the shelf because they found that it made teen girls want to kill themselves, right? And they knew this, and they were going forward with it anyway until it was leaked. And finally, a lot of the people in Facebook who are not part of Mark Zuckerberg and Peter Thiel's inner demon circle called the Growth Group are just throwing up their hands in disgust and leaking stuff. And, people are concerned. And Facebook is, trying to do what all the tech companies do, which is, just enough to make people forget about it for a while and then leave them alone. And that's not going to work with Facebook. You need a law in this country that forbids any one person from controlling, with the degree that Mark Zuckerberg controls, a company the size of Facebook, right? You need to prevent media companies and cable companies and pharmaceutical companies and banks from getting as large as they are. And the fact of the matter is, we need a fundamental reorientation of the relationship between corporate America and America if we want to take this country back and get rid of the second Gilded Age. We could have the second Golden Age if we wanted, and it's ours for the taking, right? But there's a lot of things we have to deal with. We have to deal with the fact that 30% of our population wants to burn America to the ground. We have to deal with the fact that the entire elite of this country are so out of touch that they're still playing their both sides game and trying to kick the can down the road of reconciling these problems so that they can keep raking it in and getting rich at the expense of the poor and middle America, even though they know that the barbarians are at the gate and that January 6th was a wake up call for anybody who's not a moron, that the next time there's a Republican president, people are going to die and this republic will end. And they abstractly know this, but unlike me, they haven't been in a coup, right? They haven't been in a situation where the world around them literally has fallen apart, and you've seen people wandering around the streets, listless, waiting for the next shoe to drop. And I have been in that situation. I've been in a coup when I was on my mission in Venezuela, and I know what it looks like, and it's real, right? It's not some abstract, it's not some abstract, horrible scene that you see on January 6th on TV and hope that, a weak attorney general and a weak FBI leader are going to do something. It's real, folks. I've lived it and I watch it happening in the news every single day. And Facebook is the tip of the spear of these people. And there is tons of evidence, including some articles that are probably going to come out very soon, showing that Facebook knew what was going to happen with January 6th and did nothing. Nothing. And they make it worse. And they keep making it worse. Facebook, like Fox News, kills people because of COVID, and they kill people because of suicide, and even around the world they were responsible. I could do an entire episode of other countries and genocide and repression that Facebook is responsible for. I could have done 10 times the number of episodes on the abuses of Silicon Valley, and half of them could have been Facebook alone. But at the end of the day, I made my point, right? Anybody who listens to this series when I put it together will understand that Facebook is an abomination. And to just a degree less than that, every single tech company, every single one of them. I found no good guys when I analyzed the people. Every single one of these people does evil. Now, there are good people in these companies. In particular, I do like the baseline corporate culture at Google, and some of the Apple company employees are good. But the management in these companies are dark. Anyway, so I'm going to celebrate my 14th Freedom Day by deleting Facebook. And this time I'm going to burn it down, and I'm not walking back. I will never recreate my Facebook account. Even if Mark Zuckerberg steps down, they cannot wash the blood off their hands. Now, I will keep my Instagram account, and I will tell you why. Because Instagram is stolen. Instagram never should have been allowed for Facebook to buy. And I feel that when the chips finally start coming in on Facebook, one of the first things that they're going to be forced to do is to drop Instagram. And that Instagram will be free of Mark Zuckerberg, the sociopathic tyrant. And so I'm going to keep my Instagram account. I'm going to keep my Twitter account, even though Jack is a crypto carny. I absolutely love getting on Twitter every single day and pointing out the hypocrisy of Twitter support and their support of DeSantis. There's no point of doing that on on Facebook, because I can't literally let anybody see what I'm posting, right? The whole point of social media is communication, and nobody sees what I post on Facebook. And Facebook took a bit away my ability to just even advertise my business or this podcast, not even the political stuff, right? It wasn't just a political ban, it was a total advertising ban. So Facebook is in every way, shape, or form useless to me. It's really an easy decision to make. But I'll go a little bit farther than that and say that while I'm still going to use Google, and I guess a little bit Apple, I mainly use Android phones, but I'm going to use them less, right? If I have a choice between Amazon and somebody else, like a small independent bookstore, I'm going to look at somebody else. Sometimes I will use Amazon. But one of the things that I've realized is, just like it's a conscious choice to recycle that can and walk an extra 5 steps to the recycle bin and put the can in the recycle bin, it needs to be a conscious choice to use the big tech companies less. Use them. By all means, stay on Facebook, right? But use it less, because Facebook is a cesspit. And the news you think you get from it is altered. We know that they push false crap all the time. We know this. So if you think you use it for news, you're getting lies. And if you think you're using it for your friends, well, you're not seeing what your friends post. And if you're using it for games, well, you're making Mark Zuckerberg money. Now, am I asking you to quit Facebook? No, that's your choice, right? I'm like I said, I'm not quitting Google. I'm not deleting my Gmail account, although I may. And I'm not boycotting Amazon, but I'm using it less. So what I'm asking you to do is, just like recycling, think about it, right? Think about the impact that your use of technology has on other people and the rest of the world. And the more money you give these people, the more you perpetuate a broken, demonic system that should never have been allowed to exist in the first place. This has been the Tossing Grenades at Windmills podcast. Buy my book, Have Name Will Travel, at Amazon and other markets. RedAnvilCreative.com contains all our podcasts. Copyright 2021.
To fight the forces of evil!